I lied to my dying husband about our son's text message. Now I read it every night and wonder if I made the right choice 3 months ago. My husband of 32 years took his last breath in a hospice room that smelled of antiseptic and lilies. The doctors called it unusually aggressive, as if, and here is a kind version of the disease that takes you politely. David's last coherent day was a Tuesday. He was lucid but weak, his once robust frame now skeletal under the blankets. Our daughter Emily had flown in from Seattle and spent the morning with him. Our son Michael was supposed to arrive that afternoon from Chicago. Michael and David had always had a complicated relationship. My husband was old school, Parkle emotions were weakness. Success was measured in promotions and salary. Michael was sensitive, creative, and had recently quit his corporate job to pursue photography. Their last conversation 2 months before the diagnosis had ended in a shouting match about wasting potential. As the afternoon wore on, David kept asking for Michael. Is he here yet? Check your phone. Each time I'd check the empty screen and say, he's on his way, honey. Creffy from the airport. But by 6 p.m. with no word from our son, even I couldn't hide my concern. That's when my phone finally buzzed. Mom, I can't do this. I am not coming. I've spent my whole life trying to be good enough for him, and I am done. I am sorry, I'll call you tomorrow. I stared at those words, my heart splitting in two, one half breaking for my son who couldn't face his father, the other for my husband who wouldn't understand this final rejection. David's voice, now barely above a whisper, called out, was that him? I looked at my dying husband, the man who had built his life around providing for us, who had loved our children fiercely if imperfectly. In that moment, I made a decision. Yes, it's Michael, I said, forcing a smile. His flight was delayed, but he'll be here first thing tomorrow. He says to tell you he loves you, and he's sorry he couldn't make it today. David's face relaxed. Good, that's good. I need to tell him I was wrong. Wrong about what? I asked, taking his hand. About everything, his photography. Telling him to get a real job, he coughed weakly. I saw his website yesterday. Emily showed me on her phone. His work it's beautiful. I didn't know he was so talented. Tears filled my eyes as I squeezed his hand. You can tell him tomorrow, but there was no tomorrow for David. He slipped into unconsciousness that night and passed away at 4:38 a.m. Michael arrived at the hospice at 9:15, his eyes red and swollen, carrying a portfolio of prints he brought to show his father. I couldn't do it yesterday, he sobbed in my arms. I was in the parking lot for 3 hours, but I couldn't make myself come in. I was afraid he'd be disappointed in me even at the end. I never told Michael about his father's last words. Instead, I told him his father had been mostly unconscious the day before, that he wouldn't have known if Michael was there or not. It seemed kinder than the truth parent that his father had been waiting for him and that I had lied to them both. After the funeral, I found myself reading Michael's text message over and over. I should delete it, but I can't. It's evidence of my deception, but also of the complicated love between a father and son that never found the right words until it was too late. Last week, Michael called with news he'd been offered a prestigious photography fellowship. As he excitedly described the opportunity, he said something that stopped my heart. You know what's weird, Mom? Sometimes when I am setting up a difficult shot, I can almost hear Dad saying, "You've got this, kid." Brent, that's strange. After all those years of him telling me to quit, now I imagine him cheering me on. I wonder sometimes if I made the right choice. My lie gave David peace in his final hours and spared Michael the knowledge that he missed his last chance to reconcile. But it also denied them both the truth of their relationship, parent flawed, painful but real. Every night before bed, I read that text message one more time. Then I look at the photo on my nightstand, parrot David holding newborn Michael, looking at him with such wonder and hope. I whisper to them both, I am sorry, though I am not sure exactly what for. Some lies are told out of cruelty, others out of love. Mine was somewhere in between, parenthood, a desperate attempt to create the ending I thought they both deserved. I'll carry this secret to my own grave, this final act of protection for the two men I loved most in this world, who never quite figured out how to love each other.